Well, how's it going, everybody? This is Texas Rimfire Nut, and I'm here today to give you a report, just basically doing a review and also doing a range report on the Savage Mark II FVSR. Now, as you can see, this Savage Mark II FVSR sports a 16-inch heavy barrel that's also fluted, and it also has the threaded end on it. So you can also put a suppressor on it, primarily made to be a suppressor host gun, or you can also put a compensator, flash hider, or a bunch of other different cool looking devices on it if that's what you want to do. Now, after spending about 30 minutes with this gun, it quickly became one of my favorites. Now, I'll be the first to admit it's not necessarily one of my most accurate guns. It's right up there and pretty dadgum close, but I do have a CZ 452 that will shoot better than this gun, and also I have some other CZs 452s and 455 that will shoot pretty comparable to this one, although they're not shooting better than this one. And then of course there is my Zastava Z5, which outshoots basically every other rimfire 22 gun that I own today, but this is one of the better shooting ones that I have. So I've got basically around a dozen different rimfire 22 rifles, primarily in the bolt guns. I have a couple of autos, the Remington 597, which seems to be probably one of the most accurate auto rifles out there, stock out of the box. But that's not what we're here for today, to talk about all my other guns. We're here to review this FVSR, I apologize, rimfire rifle made by Savage. Guys and gals too, I guess, out there, I really like the shortness of this rifle. I like the 16-inch barrel, the shorter barrel on it, giving me more maneuverability while I'm walking around the woods, and just generally easier to carry and get around with. The 16-inch heavy barrel is also a shooter. Now, it suffers no accuracy loss over any of the longer barrels. The bolt, with its heavy tactical handle, is what basically I like best about this gun. It's just totally awesome. It's hard to describe, but when you throw that bolt, I don't know if it's the extra weight or whatever, it's just totally awesome in my mind. In my way of thinking, it's just a great all-around gun that I just love to shoot. Now, there are a lot of people that complain about the stocks on these rifles. I myself, I don't have much trouble with it. A lot of people complain that they're just plastic ugly. Some of them complain that they're not stiff enough. I haven't really had any of those problems, and the aesthetics of it really don't bother me at all either. However, I will say, once I have this gun properly benchmarked and know where it's at as far as accuracy and all the other issues that concern it, I will be replacing this stock with the Boyd's Tactical stock, just because I like it. It looks cool. I think it'll look cool on this gun. Not really replacing it because of any kind of problems with the stock or the gun, so unlike a lot of other people out there, I really don't have problems with the stock on here. Okay? Alright. This model also has the AccuTrigger that you can see down through there. Get a little bit closer up look for you there. The AccuTrigger, in my opinion, is not a bad trigger on this gun. However, I will tell you, for bench rest shooting, it's not the trigger for me, and I'm going to do some further tweaking on it. Now, for out shooting in the woods, shooting game, squirrel hunting, rabbit hunting, whatever it is that you want to hunt, along with, you know, just plinking around in the yard, I think it's a fine trigger for all that. But I have noticed when I'm bench rest shooting this gun, which, let's just face it, I shoot all the time, pretty much every weekend, usually go through about 500 rounds. So most of my time is shooting off the bench, and I do not find the Savage AccuTrigger a good enough trigger for shooting off the bench. I think my accuracy is somewhat suffering because of that. Now, I'm also going to tell you the truth of the matter on this. I've actually purchased two of these FVSRs. The first one that I purchased, it was not a shooter. I didn't care. It didn't matter what I shot at it. Expensive Ely, RWS, Lapua, you know, the higher end CCIs. It didn't matter what I shot at it. I could not get a 1-inch grouping even at 25 yards with that gun. Now, I really did like the gun. My wife also liked the gun quite a bit as well. So, I was a lucky man when my wife basically looked at me and said, well, send it back. I like it as well. Why don't you just go ahead and go grab another one, and this one comes back, I'll just make it mine. So that's what we did. We sent it back off to Savage. Savage has a good reputation for their customer service. They also have a good reputation for their accuracy. So we went ahead and took the chance, sent the other one back off, and went ahead and made another purchase for this second one. And let me tell you what, right out of the box, this thing was a shooter. Now, I have to admit, I was a little disappointed about having to send back the gun. Nobody wants to send back a brand new gun that they get and it be away for an extensive period of time. However, I have had to do this even with the nice CZs, which if you know anything about those, they have a very good reputation out there for fit and quality and just excellent overall great guns. And I have had to send one of those back off as well. So it just goes to show that any manufacturer out there can have a hiccup in either their processing or their quality control or whatever it be. I guess when you're producing hundreds of thousands of guns out there, it's bound to happen to some of them. But with the great reputation of Savage, I had no problem sending it off. Have not received mine back yet, but I've heard a lot of good things about the Savage customer support. I did call them on the phone. They were extremely helpful, very nice, very informative, and I've had a lot of people tell me that they've received their guns back in as little as 2 to 3 weeks. On my CZ that I sent in, I thought they had excellent customer service, but I was looking at around 7 to 8 weeks before I got that gun back. So we'll see, and I'll give you guys an update on how well the customer service worked with that. But as I said before, this one is a shooter right out of the box. I had no issues with it. I got it in, cleaned it up, ran some wet patches and some dry patches, oiled it up a little bit, took her right on out. 5 minutes later, stuck her on the bench and started shooting her, and she was a shooter. The other thing I'm impressed about this gun is although it doesn't shoot all ammo brands fantastically, it shot a number of brands fairly well, and I was kind of happy with that. It also seems to have a preference for some of this cheaper ammunitions out there, so that'll be a great thing if it turns out to be a really excellent shooter with cheap ammunition. Now, I'll tell you, I have had out here before, we don't have it today, but pristine range conditions. It wasn't too hot, there was no wind, low humidity, everything was just perfect. And then the gun gods out there smiled on me through a full 5 shots before, and I have been able to get a 50-yard grouping out of this rifle approaching the 1/4 inch 5-shot grouping, which is just phenomenal as far as I'm concerned. Now, I can't reproduce that. Have to work really hard and have to have perfect conditions for all that. So I'm not saying that this is a half MOA gun. I'm just saying that it does seem to show that it has a lot of potential to be a very accurate shooter. Now, as you'll also see, the FVSR comes optics ready with the supplied Picatinny rail that's on the top there. Let's kind of scoot in here and you can kind of get a better look at that rail that's on there. That comes with the gun. There are no open sights that come with the gun, or no aftermarket open sights that I know of that you can put on the gun to have. Okay, now I've mounted mine here with the September 32 scope, and I think it's a great fit. Since this gun shoots mainly off the bench, although I do plan to shoot it for squirrels, we pretty much, for me, I wanted a scope that was small, compact, and looked really good. And I also wanted that 14 power because with my eyesight at night, I could use a little extra help. So that's what I went. Now this scope is a fine scope, great glass, great warranty, everything about this scope. But I'm going to tell you right now, this scope costs more than the gun. You're approaching $300 on this scope. For hunting, I don't know about y'all, but pretty much on all my 22s that I take hunting, that scope usually stays at around a 3 to 4 power while I'm out hunting. So I think there are a lot of fantastic options out there to look at for a whole lot less money on scopes if you're just using it for plinking or hunting out in the woods. If you're going to bench rest this and you want a gun that looks small and compact and has the adjustable objective on it and all the bells and whistles to it, the Burris Timberline might be the scope for you to go with. Otherwise, there are plenty of other ones out there on the market that'll serve you just as well. Now, I purchased this gun for $259, which was about $10 cheaper than Bud's Gun Shop online had. Bud's generally has some pretty good prices, and I use them to benchmark other prices. So, I went ahead and picked this up from the dealer. Thought it was a pretty good deal. Got both of them for the same price. I'm going to pick up the gun a little bit now and make a couple of comments. As you can see, it's not a bad gun. The barrel seems to have a fit and finish on it, not quite fantastic in my opinion. I think it's still a nice looking barrel, a nice looking gun. The metal on it seems to be pretty nice, but at the same time, the fit and the finish on this gun are nothing comparable to the CZ brand of rifles, nor my Zastava rifle. So, although I'm not quite as impressed with that, that's not the function for this gun. This gun is probably going to be shot quite a bit, and as I've told you before, absolutely love it. Fantastic gun. Really like the way it shoots, really like the way it handles out of the box. Alright, although I've had a lot of good shooting with this gun, I still don't have but around 700 to 800 rounds through the gun. I expect the gun to just even get better as I get on up over that 1,000 to 1,500 mark. Another thing I will tell you is that CCI Standard Velocity has a good reputation for coming out of these guns. It was not like that for me. I was not getting great groupings with the CCI Standard Velocity. I came back out here doing some ammo testing at 25 yards after it had about 500 or 600 shots, and then all of a sudden the CCI Standard Velocity started shooting phenomenal out of this gun. So get several rounds down through it. I'd suggest a brick or two at least, and settle it in and see what you can find for this. Alright, let's hold on here a bit more and let you guys just take a look at the gun.